how do I usually handle stakeholder feedback? Oh, I would probably just do it their way, to avoid arguments. Yeah, that's not how you get the dream instructional design job. An instructional design interview isn't just about showing a portfolio or naming all the models you know. It's your chance to show how you think, how you collaborate, and how you handle those tricky and very real situations we all face. I've been the nervous candidate trying to guess the right answers, and I've also been the person on the other side of the table, listening to those answers. So in this video, I will walk you through the questions I've been asked, the ones I ask myself when I'm hiring, and the lessons I've learned along the way. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get started. All right, no long intros. I know exactly why you clicked on this video. Based on my experience, most interview questions, whether they come from a recruiter or your potential future manager, fall into three main groups: general questions, questions about your past projects, and questions about your work style and approach. In each group, we will go through the two most common questions I've been asked and the ones I think you really need to be prepared for. Let's start with the first group, general questions. These are the warm-up questions, but don't underestimate them. The first one is, tell me a bit about yourself and how you got into instructional design. This is the question that everyone is asked. And it is the easiest one to mess up. Sure. I love PowerPoint and I've always been good at making slides. So I thought, why not instructional design? I've heard so many answers to this question, and most people either go on the way too long, given their life story, or way too short, like, I just create online courses. Neither one works. When someone asks, tell me about yourself, they're not just making small talk. What they really want to understand is who you are as a professional, how your journey shaped the way you design learning, and how you see your role in the bigger picture of the organization. Build a short, focused story that connects your background, your motivation, and your value as an instructional designer. You don't need to list every job you've ever had. Instead, highlight the turning points, the moments that made you realize why you wanted to design learning projects. For example, maybe you started as a teacher who wanted to scale impact, or as a content creator who fell in love with learning psychology. Whatever your path, connect the dots. Wrap up with where you're now and what kind of challenges or projects you're excited about. That shows direction and ambition. I started in HR, designing and delivering onboarding programs, and that's where I saw how training can make or break employee performance. That's what pulled me into instructional design. I wanted to focus on creating learning experiences that actually move the needle. Today, I specialize in performance-based, scenario-driven courses for corporate teams. Next question. How do you prioritize tasks when you're working on multiple projects? Well, I usually focus on one project until it's perfect, and then I move to the next one. Every instructional designer juggles multiple deadlines, SMEs, feedback rounds, and reviews. What interviewers want to see is your ability to set priorities, manage expectations, and keep communication clear. Saying you multitask doesn't tell them anything. Instead, explain how you decide what comes first. Also, don't say something like, I just work extra hours. It isn't impressive. It is a red flag. When I'm managing several projects, I start by confirming priorities with stakeholders. What's critical, what's flexible, and what dependencies they have. Then I break each project into phases and set mini deadlines for each stage. If timelines overlap, I always communicate early and adjust together with the team. That way, I stay on track without sacrificing quality. That kind of answer shows you're organized and self-aware. You're not trying to come off like a superhero. You're showing you know how to work smart and keep everyone aligned. And that's exactly what hiring managers love to hear. All right. Now, let's get into the heart of every instructional design interview, your projects. And of course, these questions always start with this classic. Tell me about the project you're most proud of. Sounds simple, right? But this one can totally trip people up. Oh, I loved all my projects. They were all special in their own way. Okay, so it started when I joined the company. There was this huge spreadsheet, and then my manager went on leave, and then I used Bloom's taxonomy, Gagne's 9 events, and Mayer's principles of multimedia learning, all in one course. Some candidates start talking about the prettiest course they ever built, or how many slides they managed to generate in 3 days. Interviewers want to hear how you think, your process, your decision making, and what kind of impact your work made. The best way to answer this question is to use the STAR method: situation, task, action, result. One project I'm really proud of was redesigning onboarding for a logistics company. Their training was 6 hours long and super boring. New hires forgot most of it right afterwards. I turned it into short, scenario-based modules where people could actually practice decisions instead of clicking through the slides. As a result, training time dropped by 60%, and managers said new hires performed twice better. That was the moment I realized how much impact smart design can have. We've just talked about your best project. Now, let's look at the other side of the story. Because if you worked in instructional design for more than, say, 2 weeks, you know not everything goes the way you planned it. And interviewers know that too. That's why I love this next question. What's a learning project but didn't go as planned? This one can make people panic a little. Like, should I admit that something went wrong? Yes, you should. Because what they are really asking is, how do you deal with challenges? I don't really believe that projects fail. Every experience is a learning experience. That's a nice thought, but it's still not a good answer for an interview. Recruiters want to see how you think, how you react when things go sideways, and whether you take responsibility or just blame others. Be honest. Pick something that really happened, but keep it small and professional. Maybe the timeline slipped or the content didn't land the way you expected. It shouldn't sound like a disaster movie, just a real-world challenge. Move quickly to what you did to fix it. That's what shows growth and problem solving. And wrap it up with how it made you a better designer. Maybe you improved your communication skills, planning abilities, or your effectiveness with risk management. Once I was building a sales training module, and the product's details kept changing. Instead of restarting every time, I created a flexible structure so we could swap content easily. It taught me to design with change in mind. And honestly, I use that approach in every project now. All right, now that we've talked about your project, both the wins and the learning experiences, let's move on to another big part of the interview. I would call it questions about your work style or approach. This is where interviewers want to see what you're like as a teammate, how you communicate, handle feedback, and collaborate with others. And one of the first questions they will ask is about this: your relationship with subject matter experts. We usually have one kick-up call. They send me the materials, and that's it. I don't like bothering people. Your relationship with SMEs can make or break a project. So when you answer this question, the interviewer wants to understand how you manage that relationship, especially when SMEs are busy, opinionated, or just hard to reach. Start by saying that you see SMEs as partners, not just sources of information. They know the subject, and you know how to teach it. Talk about how you clarify expectations, agree on timelines, and set up regular check-ins. I usually start by meeting with the SME to understand their goals and what success looks like to them. Then we agree on the scope, the timeline, and how we will review materials. During the process, I make sure to keep them in the loop. I explain my design decisions and show drafts early, so there are no surprises at the end. That way, they feel heard, and I still make sure the course stays learner-focused. Instructional design is never just about slides and scripts. It's about people. And one of the hardest parts is making sure your creative vision matches what your stakeholders actually want. That's why you will often hear this question. How do you make sure your design decisions align with stakeholders' expectations? I prefer not to ask for feedback until it's done. I just send them the final course, and if they don't like anything, I just fix it immediately. Yeah, sending your final course and hoping for the best is a recipe for endless rework. So when you get this question, show that you know how to collaborate without losing your design voice. Show that you understand what alignment really means. Start by saying that alignment isn't about agreeing with everything. It's about understanding goals and making sure that learning design supports them. Demonstrate proactive communication. Interviewers love hearing that you don't disappear for 3 weeks and come back with a finished course. Say that you involve stakeholders at key points and check in before moving forward. Show that you can balance flexibility with expertise. Good instructional designers find a middle ground. Mention that you value input, but always keep learning objectives front and center. Before I start designing, I make sure we're clear on the goals and what success looks like. Then I share my ideas. I always connect them back to those goals, so stakeholders see the logic behind each choice. I also share early drafts that keeps everyone aligned and saves us from last-minute surprises. All right, now you're ready to nail that instructional design interview. After years in instructional design and so many interviews, both as a candidate and as a hiring manager, I realized a few simple things. Always take some time to check out the company, what kind of project they do, who their learners are. That will help you speak their language. A recruiter will instantly perceive that someone's done their homework. And when it comes to your portfolio, less is more. Don't show everything you've ever built. Pick a few projects that reflect who you are as a designer, the kind of work you actually want to do. Ask questions too about their processes, tools, and how they define success. It shows you're not just trying to get hired, you're thinking like a partner. And one more thing, be honest. You don't need to sound like you read every book on learning theory. People don't hire you for that. They hire you for how you think, how you communicate, how you solve problems when things go sideways. If you don't know something, just say how you will figure it out. Seriously, nobody expects you to be ChatGPT. Talk about your process. But you pay attention to how you make decisions and what you've learned from your flops. Yes, your flops. We've all had them. If you stay curious, remain open, and actually show who you are, people will remember you. And they will dream of hiring you.
Well, it looks like we've got a perfect match. I'll follow up with final feedback later today.
Thank you. And if you want to keep growing as an instructional designer, hit the subscribe button. We have a lot of expert tips and creative ideas. See you in the next video, and good luck with your interviews!